My initial reactions were mostly focused on the narrative style because I feel like you gave me a forewarning of like, look, it gets better. You could tell it's early in her writing career. Yes, I could tell that the narrative style was maybe a little more simple. I could be easily convinced. Part of it is because Auren is young, and you could almost assume that because of her trauma, because she's chosen a life of basically being trapped in a cage for the last 10 years, she hasn't had the opportunity to mature. She hasn't had those interactions that would make her more mature. So the simple narrative fits the character's perspective.
All of a sudden, I'm like, going back, I'm like, maybe I am too harsh on this book because it is well crafted. And because her other books are really well written, maybe I was fooled this whole time. One of the most subtle things she does and glazes past it is the way that Midas groomed Auren.
Mm-hmm.
We go a little bit more into it in other books, but like all of a sudden you kind of do the math of like, wait a minute. She was like 15, 16.
Yeah, she was a child.
And he was 7 years older than her.
Yeah.
And you start doing the math and you're like, that can't be right. Because that's just straight up
grooming. And that's why the narration didn't bother me, because it felt in character for someone who has been groomed and has been stuck essentially as a 15-year-old. She might be in her mid to late 20s, but her perspective is the perspective of a 15-year-old, which makes sense for someone who's been groomed and sheltered.